Hello everyone! So in this three-part series, I'm going to be showing you how to make these 3 holiday-themed throw pillows from scratch. In this episode, I will be making this snowflake pillow. You will need some paper, a ruler, a sewing machine, and a needle and thread, or you can just use a needle and thread. You will need some pillow fluff, a pencil or a piece of chalk, a pair of scissors, some hot glue or some fabric glue, your fabric, a sponge brush or a sponge, and then you will need some paint in either silver or white. You can use acrylic paint or fabric paint. If you don't plan on washing it, you can use acrylic paint. Then anything you'd like to decorate your pillow. Start by folding a piece of paper in half and then in half the other way. There should be a corner where all the folds meet. From that corner, measure out half the width of your pillow. Mine is going to be 6 inches. I'm measuring out 6 inches, so it will be 12 inches. And mine is going to be a square. So then measure down half the height of your pillow. Again, 6 inches. Then from your first mark, measure out to 6 inches down again. Then from your second mark you made, measure out another 6 inches, but I forgot to do this, so that's why my line didn't end up being straight at first. But after that, you can see that I straightened it out. Once that's done, cut out the lines you drew. Now you should have something like this, and when you unfold it, it'll become a much bigger square. And this will be your pattern. Next, take your fabric and lay it bad side facing up, good sides together, and make sure you've doubled it over. Next, take your piece of paper and put it on top of your fabric, and then take a pencil or a piece of chalk and trace around the paper. Once you have that done, you can remove your paper and cut out your square. Leave about 1/2 inch seam allowance. Here you can see where I've cut and where I drew. Once that's done, you should have 2 pieces and the good side should be on the inside. Now you're going to want to sew all the way around the edge. You can sew along the line, but you want to leave an opening at the bottom big enough to fit your hand through, so you can flip it inside out and then stuff it once it's done. You can mark it out and then sew. When it's a slippery fabric like this, I like to use pins, but those are optional. Once that's done, I took it and flipped it inside out. Well, I flipped it right side out. It was already inside out. You don't have to worry about trimming off anything because we're just going to stuff it later. You can use the end of a pencil to poke out the corners if you'd like. I find they look a lot nicer once they're poked out and much more pointy. Now you should have something like this, and there should be a hole at the bottom of the pillow. Next, you're going to take another piece of paper and make sure it's a square. You can either do the method I showed you how to make your pattern, or if you want to, you can take one edge, line it up with the other to form a triangle like this. Then you can cut along this edge here. Once that's done, you should have a square. Next, fold it into a triangle, then into a triangle again the other way, and then one more time. Next, from the point where it all meets, measure the distance to the shortest side. Then rotate the ruler and put a mark at the distance that you measured. Next, draw a line and then cut it out. Next, you should have something like this. Then draw your snowflake design. I drew something like this. Just the important thing is make sure it meets at the bottom and there's enough room at the top that it will hold itself together. I decided to add this little teardrop shape, so I just cut that out with an X-Acto knife. Once it's unfolded, you will have your snowflake stencil. You can easily just print out one and cut it out if you'd like. Next, take your fabric and put the hole on the bottom, then lay your stencil on top exactly how you want it. Next, you can either use pins or tape to hold it in place. I decided to use tape because I find it worked easier, and pins tend to make the paper buckle a little bit, so I found tape was a lot easier. Next, take your paint and your sponge or sponge brush. Dip the end in the paint and then dab it on top of the stencil. Dab straight down, and this way you will not be getting it leaking on the sides of the stencil. Once that's done, you can add a second coat of paint to it. And don't worry about the little bubbles that form. While it dries, they pop all by themselves. I forgot to do this at first, but you might want to add a little piece of paper inside because my design seeped through to the back. Once that's done, you can remove the tape and stencil, and then you can use a little brush and some more paint to touch up any bits that you wanted to be different. I decided to round out the edges. Then, once it's fully dry, you can decorate it however you'd like. I decided to go with some sequins and some little, like, rhinestones, I guess you could call them. I don't really know what they are. So this is what I came up with. I put the little rhinestones around the edge and one in the middle, and then I had sequins. Now I could sew the sequins, but I can't sew the rhinestones, so I decided to glue them. I just did it like this. I just took some hot glue, made sure it was on either a low setting, or just turned it on and it's just started working. And once it started getting really hot, I just waited a bit and unplugged it so it would be a lot cooler. You do not want to burn your fingers, it hurts a lot. Then, once that was dry, I just removed the little strands of hot glue, just by rubbing them off. Then you can remove the paper and stuff it. Next, you're going to need a needle and some thread and a pair of scissors. So start by threading your needle. Once you're done, cut a long piece of thread. Then tie the end with a knot. There's the knot, and then you just want to cut off the excess. To start sewing, start from the inside of your pillow. Just go up from the inside. And then don't pull tight. Just pull and leave a little bit at the end. Then go in the bottom. And you want to get the little loop that's formed. Then pull tight. And there you go. Next, to continue sewing down, you're going to pinch the fabric together. And then you're going to go in both layers. Don't pull tight yet. Wait until it forms a little loop, like here. Then go in the loop. And then pull tight. This is creating a blanket stitch. It's basically creating the stitching you would see around the edge of a blanket. So again, just go in through both layers, wait until it creates a little loop, and then go back through the loop that the thread made. Once you get the hang of it, it's not hard to do. And it doesn't take long to get the hang of it. At the end, finish off by doing a final stitch. And then do it again a couple more times in the same spot. I like to do it about 4 to 5 more times, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And there you go! Now you have a brand new pillow that you made all by yourself. In the next episode, I will be making this pillow. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any ideas for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I always need ideas. So I will see you in the next video, and I really hope you enjoyed. Bye!